Dan Hust, Communications Director for Sullivan County, talking about the upcoming elections that's happening in Sullivan County. Uh, Early elections are underway already,
Hmm.
and election day is only a few days away. My first question to you, Dan, I always want to know, and we ask all the Board of Elections people, is what does the Sullivan County Board of Elections handle day to day during the election process?
Our Board of Elections actually works hard all year long. It's amazing to me. They really don't ever have any downtime. They're overseen by our commissioners, Deanna Sinek and Pam Murin, and they have a team that really knows their stuff about elections. They spend all year long learning the latest rules, making sure that the current ones are followed. This is, I think, the best way to explain it is exactly what we have on our website, which is that the Sullivan County BOE is responsible for administering all aspects of elections in Sullivan County. Key, all aspects. And they could tell you there's a lot to that word all to maintain and facilitate participation in the democratic system of government. I love that explanation. When I read that, I was like, that is perfect. We conduct all national, all state, all county, all village, and all town elections. The structure of the agency, its responsibilities and duties, it's mandated by New York State election law. So we work under the New York State Board of Elections, which regularly updates the rules as the legislature requires them to be. Um, as I said, it's administered by two commissioners of elections. They have 4-year terms. They're elected by the county committees, and then they are each assisted by deputy commissioners and a full-time staff, which is an equal representation of both Democrats and Republicans. Deanna is the Democratic commissioner, and then there's a Democratic staff, and then Pam is the Republican commissioner, and there's a Republican staff. But they work very well in sync together. They, in many ways, are the model of how we'd like to see our political parties work
Mhm.
together.
There's always talk about, stolen elections or things that are happening to the machines. What steps are being taken to ensure that voting is safe and secure here in Sullivan County and accurate in November?
Yeah. Well, from the 30,000-foot view, our Board of Elections takes voters' safety and ballot security very seriously. And so does the state of New York, which mandates how we take care of that, and provide for that safety and security. Um, the State Board of Elections is the keeper of all the certified software used by the voting machines because it's all digital now. I'm old enough to remember, I don't know if you are, when you flipped a
Hmm.
lever on a machine and it counted it right there, but now it's all electronic. That those machines and equipment, however, are also separate from the internet. And it's a trusted build of the software that's been reviewed and actually certified for use by the state. Um, the software also maintains and updates our database of voter registration records for the county so that we know who is supposed to be voting and who isn't. The maintenance for that's performed at the county level, and the records that we do, our Board of Elections, a lot of their time is updating voter records. That they spend a lot of time with that. We then share that with the state so that the state knows it as well. Those systems have to be approved again by the state, and they undergo routine functional and security testing to ensure the system remains secure and compliant over time. The state pays close attention to it as we do. By the way, voter registration systems, they don't interface with the voting machines themselves in
Okay.
any way, which I didn't know that until I found that out from our Board of Elections and the state Board of Elections, is those systems are independent from the actual ballot taking machines themselves.
I mean, just talk about technology, how it changed. I remember going as a kid in the Bronx with my mom, and we had the big machines. You set the levers. At the
Mhm.
end, you had to pull the big lever. Everyone
Mhm.
had this huge books looking for your signature. Now I remember when I went last when last voting, I did early voting in the government center, and it was made that it's digital, and you
Yep.
print out the ballot right there and then, and it was I was just amazed how much technology has gone through. Well, I'm gonna throw you a curveball here. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if this is how all counties do, but I was talking to the Ulster Board of Elections, and I naturally assumed that okay, end of election night it's sent digitally to the main offices, but he said no, it's a USB stick that's taken from each of the precincts and driven directly to the board of elections. And their office is they use a computer that's not connected to the internet, and there's all the results are tallied. Do you know if that's has how it happens in Sullivan County?
I'm not absolutely certain of that, though I do know that there is a chain of custody that is involved to make sure that results are not put out to the ether or to somebody who might have the ability to change those results, because that security is paramount. Listen, if you can't trust that your vote is going to be logged as exactly as you put it in, then the system has broken down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fundamental situation there. That's why our Board of Elections, the State Board of Elections, the Ulster County Board of Elections take that very seriously, is who has custody and control over those ballots from the moment they're cast to the moment they're counted.
Yeah. Now, it says the early voting is underway already. It started on October 25th on Saturday, and here in Sullivan County at the Sullivan County Government Building. How is the county getting the word out for voters on where and how to vote?
That's actually a lot of my job, actually. So, as the county communications director, I actually have been doing paid advertising in a number of media outlets, including, I think, with WJFF. We actually use taxpayers' funds to inform the taxpayers about their voting choices, not who to vote for. We don't get involved in any kind of electioneering, but where you can vote, how you can vote, the fact that, there's mail-in voting, there's absentee
Mhm.
voting, there is affidavit voting, there is in-person voting, both early and on election day. There are so many choices here that didn't used to exist that long ago. So I'm constantly putting out information and updating it on the county website. The Board of Elections website is the end-all be-all of local election information. On that site, even, we have a list of all the candidates running for office that are actually going to be listed on a ballot. I know there's like a write-in
Mhm.
candidate situation going on right now. We don't have that listed. You can write in anybody on the ballots, but the folks who are actually supposed to be listed on the ballot, we have a whole list of that. We even have the sample ballots that will show you, if you're from, for example, the town of Coshecton, what is your ballot going to look like? You can see that ahead of time. You can't fill it out
Right.
through that, but you can see it, print it out, download it, take a look at it, study it, figure out who it is that you want to vote for. And there's going to be, I believe, statewide ballot
Mhm.
propositions, but there's also, uh, I'm trying to remember exactly what there's, I think Town of Highland has a constabulary uh, a ballot proposition going on, and you'll have a chance to see that language. And really, honestly, if you're like me, where you're interested in all the different towns' elections, you can look at any of the sample ballots. You
Right.
can see what I'm not in Town of Highland to vote, but I can see what that ballot proposition is asking voters to weigh in on, and that's just fascinating from a community point of view. But if you live in the town of Highland, that's important because only town of Highland voters are going to have that ballot proposition available to them. And typically, you have to flip the ballot to see it. So make sure that you're looking at both sides of the ballot when you actually fill it out.
Right. Now, you mentioned, and actually, it's funny. I did that this morning. I was looking through the ballots this
Oh,
morning.
were you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something else that I do myself. While this is not considered a big election year because we're not doing the presidential or the state senate races, things like that, but this is a huge local race. There's
Yes.
so many local races, so many council folks, village member, well, not village, but council persons are running this year. What is the biggest challenge that the Board of Elections office faced during this time?
Time. Time is
Really?
always of the essence. Everything is hurry up and get it done yesterday kind of thing. Um, they're already busy. The schedule gets very much busier. And the Board of Elections goal is to provide the services people expect and that the law requires. So, and there are certain time limitations on when things need to be responded to, and how people need to be helped. So I think that's always the challenge with them. Listen, even myself, when I deal closely with Deanna and Pam, sometimes just getting a chance to talk to them, we've got to find a little window
Mm,
in their schedule for that because they are always just so busy. And I mean, that's the way we want it to be, if you think about it, because you want your board of elections to be ensuring that your ability to vote is preserved and protected, and that your questions are answered in a timely fashion. And then when we get to election day, that your vote is counted the way it's supposed to be. So that takes time. And when you multiply one voter onto the tens of thousands that we have in Sullivan County, That's why the Board of Elections is busy all year
Yeah.
long, and this just happens to be the penultimate moment.
Everything's building up to November 4th.
Yes, but then it doesn't just go to nothing afterwards. There's still a lot to do and prepare for the next year's range of elections.
Yeah.
So,
Another question I had I want to see if you could have an answer for, if you have an answer for. Coming election night, 9 o'clock, the polls close. You log onto the website, the Board of Elections for Sullivan County, trying to see who won. By 10 o'clock, sometimes you see results
mhm.
there. So those results are the absentee ballots already have been counted, or those are results from that
No,
particular night?
it's from that particular night. Absentees, there's a chance for those to be counted after they commit because you have to have it postmarked before election day, but that doesn't mean the mail's going to deliver it
Hmm.
by election day. So absentees will be added to the tallies. What you're seeing election night and usually for several weeks thereafter are unofficial results.
Okay.
Official results are when our Board of Elections commissioners certify the results and the state agrees with them on that. And then those become the official results, which will include all the different ballots, the affidavit,
Right.
absentee, the ones that were cast the night of, the early mail in ones. And also, if there's challenges to any particular ballots, that will delay the official certification of the final tally because when you put out that final official tally, it needs to be accurate and reflect exactly what happened, including what the courts might have ruled on.
Right.
So,
And how about the early voting? Will those be included
mhm,
in the unofficial votes in the beginning, like that night?
mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Anything that the Board of Elections has been able to log prior to that moment that you're looking at it should be included. But like I said, the absentee and the affidavit have time to come in after Election Day.
Okay.
And so those results will not be reflected until the official certified tally is released.
Right. I said early voting has started already. Anything more pertinent? We're on the last week of a pre-election before the election night. Any important dates or deadlines that voters should keep in mind running up to November 4th?
Yep. October, or excuse me, November 3rd is the last day you can apply in person for a general election absentee or military ballot. November 4th is the last day to postmark a general election absentee ballot, like we were just talking about. They must be received by our Board of Elections no later than November 12th. November 4th is also the last day to postmark a military or special federal ballot, and that must be received by the Board of Elections by November 17th. And then finally, November 4th is the last day to deliver a general election absentee ballot in person to the Board of Election by the close of polls, 9 p.m. on Election Day. So, all this is to say, the state, the county, we try to make it so that we'll take your vote right up to the basically last minute. I'm not advocating for anybody to wait to the last minute because who knows what could interrupt your plans. But we want your vote to count. We want your vote to be counted. We want you to have a say in your elections, especially during a local election year like this. We're talking about people in your community, your neighbors, your friends, your potential leaders. These are people that you, as a voter, should have a say in. Are they going to get or keep that position, or are they not?
Like, say, for some strange reason, let's say a person goes to a polling site and goes to a polling site, and for some reason they went to the wrong polling site. They're still
Mhm.
able to put a provision ballot in or
There's
something
an
like that. Yeah,
affidavit
affidavit.
process
Okay,
that can go, or if they have time, can go. That's why I encourage people to
right,
early vote, because actually then you don't have to worry about going to the wrong polling site.
right.
We'll take you at either the government center or public health. But if on election day it's early enough in the day, they may just tell you, if you can go to the other polling site. If not, there's an affidavit I believe that can be filled out. And I'm not familiar with the particulars of that. But again, this comes back to our Board of Elections is trying its mightiest to ensure that if you are eligible and registered to vote, that we can get your vote and have it count.
If voters have questions leading up to election night, where can they go? What's the best way? Who could they contact for any election questions?
Best place is to either visit the Board of Elections office at the Government Center in Monticello in person or give them a call, 845-807-0400. That's 807-0400. They are there to answer questions, and even when they're busy, answering questions is a priority for them. As long as you have legitimate questions and you have something that they definitely can help you with. If it's something you think you can answer online, try that first. But if not, give them a call or visit them in person. They've had extended hours earlier this month to answer those kinds of questions and make sure people have the chance to vote. If it happens while you're at the poll, that's what we have those election
Mhm.
inspectors there for. And if they can't answer it, they will then talk to the Board of Elections. They'll get the commissioners or their staff on the line and make sure that those questions are answered there so that things are handled properly as they need to. And of course, inevitably, this comes up every year. There's issues that people need to resolve while they're at the polling
Right.
place, and we want to be responsive to that.
Right. Any need of poll workers?
We always have had need for poll workers. It's too late now for this. We've already
Okay.
done the training. At this time, we're set for what we have, but we always are looking for poll workers. We pay for it. We'll also pay for your training. It's just a half day's training you have to do, and we know we need poll workers not just for general elections, but also for primary elections and
Mm,
sometimes for special elections when they need to be held. So if you're interested in giving us just a bit of your time, we can talk to you about it. I know in the past the Board of Elections has done half days as opposed to full days because 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
yeah.
can be a very
Long.
long day, but it is typically just 1 or 2 days a year and you get paid for it. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to our Board of Elections. We are always in need of what we call election inspectors, but as you said, poll workers.
Poll workers. Okay.
Mhm.
Election
Yep.
inspection. Inspectors is better.
It sounds more important, and frankly, it
Yes,
is.
it is. Yeah.
It's a very important job, and you're right there on the front lines of democracy. I just think that's cool. When I retire, I definitely wanna be an
Mm.
election inspector. I do.
I don't blame you there. Dan, before we go, anything else we have not touched on you want folks to know?
I want to encourage people to get out and vote. We always see more of a voting turnout during the presidential election, but not that that's not important, but you have more influence as a voter. If you think about the odds of somebody getting in or not into a position in these local elections, more than anything else, your voice matters. It doesn't just matter during a presidential election year. So please get out and vote, even if you don't have any contested races in your town. I think it's important. It's a civic duty. I take it seriously where I live. And I just want to encourage people to do so as well. And it really helps our Board of Elections and their entire dedicated crew feel like all this hard work that they've had to do day in and day out has been worth it.
We're talking to Dan Hust, a communications director for Sullivan County, letting us know all we need to know to vote here in Sullivan County come November 4th or early voting that's happening now. So again, Dan Hust, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks for having me.